Okay, so this is question 29. We are ignoring some information from question 28. We have debt of 700 million, equity of 100 billion or 11 billion, tax rate is 20%, interest rate on debt is 5%. What's the weighted average cost of capital in year one? Okay, so to get the weighted average cost of capital, what we need is cost of equity, and this is levered, cost of debt, percent debt, percent equity, and the tax rate. This will give us, well, yeah. So this is the main thing that we need. Let me highlight that. The cost of debt is given to us at 5%. The percent debt and percent equity. Okay, so our debt is 0.7 in billions. Our equity is 11. So that means percent debt is going to be debt divided by debt plus equity. And this is just going to be 1 minus that. Our tax rate is 20%. And so the last thing that we need to do is calculate levered cost of equity. We have unlevered cost of equity. That is given in the problem at 7.2%. Let me move this down so you can see it. This is a formula from 11.2, the slide deck. And essentially what we have is cost of equity of a firm with debt equals cost of equity of a firm without debt plus cost of equity of a firm without debt plus minus cost of debt times debt over equity times 1 minus the tax rate. And this is exactly what we have in this equation. So I'm just going to fill some of it in. Debt over equity is, this divided by that. 1 minus the tax rate is just 1 minus the tax rate. And let's fill in the equation here. So the cost of equity for a levered firm is going to equal the unlevered cost of equity plus, open our parentheses, the unlevered cost of equity minus the cost of debt, which is 5%, times debt over equity times 1 minus the tax rate. We end up with 7.31%. Let's go down here and calculate our weighted average cost of capital. Our weighted average cost of capital is going to equal percent debt, percent equity times the cost of equity plus percent debt times the cost of debt times 1 minus the tax rate. That is the formula that we've had since the beginning of that lecture. It hasn't really changed. And the answer that we get is 7.11%, which would be C here. Let's just check Professor Hall's 7.11%, and the answer up here is C.